think they're here anymore, but Executive Director Christina McGahey and Conference Manager Greg Wada, they might be in the hallway over here. They should come out so we can give them a quick round of applause. I don't think there's been a harder working crew of staff like working on this ever. These guys have really been working really hard. So you see Greg, you see Christina around, give them the fist bump, give them the high five, give them the hugs, because they really hung it out there to make this happen. So thank you, you guys. All right. Okay, I also gotta thank my wife. She's laughing at me right now because I told her I was gonna change clothes before I emceed, and I totally didn't have time. So, honey, I'm in my motos. That's your second pitching word for today. I am wearing motos to MC because I didn't have time to change clothes. So, here we go. So, our next speaker that I have the pleasure of introducing is Reverend Ron Miyamura, who's gonna come up and reflect a little bit on the tradition and the meaning of Obon. Sensei.
Yes, a few words about and how the program will allow you to go to the whole country for one. So, yeah, Obon is a Buddhist holiday celebrated in the summer. There's a long tradition of Obon that has its origins in the Ulapana Sutra about jumping with joy, which means dancing, jumping with joy. When the selfless acts of giving release the suffering of the disciples' mother. There are various ways of observing Obon in many Asian countries. The practical reason for Obon is to remember our ancestors and to express our gratitude for what we have been given. The most well known in the West is the Japanese observance of Bon Odori. Odori means dance, which evolved in Japan for the past 800 years. Usually, each town or village would use a folk dance, a minyan dance, for the evening of celebrating. Each area often had their own local traditions associated with the ball, such as hanging paper lanterns or bolts for lighted candles released in the river, or any number of ways of remembering our ancestors. In the United States, Bologoli incorporates the folk dances from various towns, districts, and prefectures from Japan, from where the Japanese immigrants came from. So we have perhaps a dozen or more songs and dances done at the local Buddhist temples, Bologoli. Often there are various Japanese foods, crafts, which are part of the Obon festival or Obon Matsuri. So it becomes a real Japanese festival. It takes many forms, different ways, and tomorrow night when you go to the Bologoli, if you've never been to one before, you have to wait to remember about dancing. You may not know the steps, you may not know the dances, but you're a fool if you dance. You're a fool if you watch. So you might as well be a dancing fool. Yes. And just a real quick shout out for Obon. Obon music traditionally was a flute player, a taiko, and a singer. And Obon is a tradition that kept the taiko drum out in the forefront. So there's a long tradition of taiko drumming, a different style, of course, but the taiko makers kept in business because of Obon. And that led to what we know as Kubitaiko today. So there is a tie to the tradition, and let's have a good time today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Ron. Thank you, Sensei. So our next speaker I'm very honored to introduce Alan Okada from New York, founder of Taiko, who will be explaining to us the history of the North American, I almost said North African for some reason, the North American Taiko Conference, and especially recognizing that this is our first ever NATC-R. Alan?
So, one of the goals of the Taiko Community Alliance is to recognize and honor the heritage of Taiko. And so the point of this presentation someday is basically to talk about how all of you ended up in this room. A number of years ago, 7, 8 years ago, I was at the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii, Honolulu. And this phrase was the phrase that was used to describe and think about the first Japanese immigrants to Hawaii. And so if you look at it literally, Okage-sama de, it's an honorific for shadow. Sama is for usually it was used in the old days. You would recognize your lord, and in contemporary times you would recognize your boss, basically for helping you get to where you are. But in the broader sense, what they were doing is they were saying, Okage-sama de, I am who I am because of you, is to recognize all of the people that got us to this place. And so if you want to talk about NATC or NATC-R or Taiko in North America, you have to start in Japan. Now, I've read so many papers and books about Taiko, telling you what the history of Taiko is, or how it got there, what the philosophy, or how it is promoting one group or another group, or not promoting other groups. And which brings me to this point. There's an old story, which I believe originated in India, went to China, and you would hear it in Buddhist temples all the time about the 8 blind men and the elephant. So like the 8 blind men, who each described the elephant as one thing or another, a big flat, piece of leather, or a long thing like a fire hose, or a thing like a tree trunk. None of us has seen all of it, and none of us will ever see all of it. So I'm going to give you a fast run through of pieces that I've seen, in my sense of this history and how we got there. Japan has a long history of Taiko. This group, the TaikoGo, the Imperial Music Ensemble, was established in 701 and incorporated music that came from Korea and China. So Kumidaiko is a relatively new form of Taiko. Taiko has been around for a very long time. The Asakusa Sangha Matsuri, it happens around the Asakusa Grand Shrine, which was built in 1649. So if you think about where was this country in 1649, the Chichibuyo Matsuri, many of you have seen various forms of Chichibuya Taibayashi, which comes from the Yomatsuri, and Yomatsuri was established in 1710. Right? Many of you have seen various versions of Chichibu Taibayashi. And so this is what the festival looks like, and this is where the drummers are. But you can't see the drummers, because at the very back of the yatai, in that area that's kind of blue behind the people who are in front, those yatai are stages, and they do performances at night. And so the drummers are actually there. That's why Yatai looks the way it does. These guys are squished into this little place and they ride around in the carpet thing. Miyake and Taiko. The most famous of the groups is this particular group, Akio Tsumura. And they moved to Tokyo in July 2000 when the mountain erupted, volcano erupted again, and everyone was forced to leave Miyake. And so they now, where the last time I looked, they had between 8 and 11 classes all over the Tokyo area and in Yokohama. And so they're spreading taiko. The point I want to make is, for the first 10 years of my life playing taiko, I thought that taiko was what Tanaka-sensei did, and that was it. Whereas for centuries, Japan has had a rich history of very varied forms of taiko. I don't know if you can see this. This is from the Aomori Nebuta Matsuri, where they have these giant floats. But there are drummers, and there's a blow up of that little corner over there. There are drummers who are playing on these huge okedo, and some of them on the lower left are wearing fundoshi. So people who believe that they're wearing a fundoshi for playing taiko started with kodo or one that goes on. It was being done in the 1860s. This is the way they do it now, on these giant carts that follow the floats. So, which brings us to Hawaii. June 1868, 150 Japanese arrived in Honolulu Harbor on the Skio. This is a partial picture of the manifest. One of the things you might notice is that everybody only has one name, because most Japanese didn't get a last name until the Meiji period. Kalakaua was the last king of the Kingdom of Hawaii before he passed away. He was the first sovereign to visit the Emperor Meiji. And his goal in 1881 was to form an alliance of Pacific countries which could stand against Western imperialism. But the Japanese emperor declined. But Kalakaua was really interested in having Japanese come to Hawaii, because the Hawaiian population was small and was getting smaller, and he wanted Japanese to be a part of the community, also in part because he wanted to build a Pacific country. I could go on about this chart forever, but I won't. So the orange parts are Asian immigration to America. The bars on the bottom reflect just Japanese. And so in the history of legal immigration to America, from forever back, the 1800s until now, Asians were not a very big part until this last wave, where it's gotten to be huge. But Japanese had never been a big population in terms of immigration to the United States. You can see from the bottom chart that in the period from 1900 to 1909, there was a run rate of less than 10,000 Japanese coming in each year. And that was the high point of Japanese immigration to America. And it happened during the period when the whole Pacific rim was changing. So in the late 1800s, the U.S. war against slavery was resolved. And at the same time, they passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. And the last act of what they called the Indian Wars, the massacre of Native Americans. The Hawaiian Kingdom was overthrown, and then the United States annexed it. The Spanish-American War happened, and so the United States got Guam and the Philippines, and then fought the Philippines War. But at the beginning of that period, the Convention of Kanagawa was when Japan was open to the rest of the world, when Commodore Perry was sailing with his ships. So that period, the middle to the end of the 1800s, was unbelievably a period of change for the whole world, and it was that period during which Japanese immigration to the United States began, with Hawaii and then to the mainland. So this is a picture of Yoshio Hino and his wife Hisako. He was a Buddhist minister who first came to Honoka in around 1920. And the little girl with the dog at the bottom is Akiko Hino, my mother. So along with the Japanese that came to Hawaii and went to the mainland, there were cultural practices. And Obon was one of those practices. So Obon, as far as I can tell, was practiced in various parts of Hawaii and the mainland starting around the 1900s. Then 1941. So with the Pacific War, Ferentino, who you saw in that picture, was arrested by the FBI. Onganji was taken over for officer housing. The sons were pulled up into the territorial guard. And the temple, was changed. So there was a 20,000 people were forced to leave their homes, give up their farms, their jobs, their education, to pretty much give up everything they had. They were tagged, taken to temporary camps and put into 10 internment camps, which were acknowledged as concentration camps. The camps were inland, but they were spread out in all of the desert areas. The Canadians did a similar thing. There were roughly 20,000 Japanese Canadians who were on the West Coast, many involved in fishing, and their properties were taken and they were moved to the camps. And then in Hawaii, more than 2,000 Americans of Japanese ancestry were put into camps in different places. In Honolulu, which is just recently, I think 2015, declared a landmark, was one of them. And there was a recent film done by the JCL, which talks about another 1,500 Americans with Japanese ancestry who lost their homes during the war, which no one ever talks about. In 1988, they passed HR 442, which provided for reparations and an apology to Americans with Japanese ancestry. So on the other side of the Pacific, something which I don't think we can get either, is that 1945 to 1952, Japan was an occupied country, in large part, totally devastated. And for the longest time, I was trying to figure out how to get from 1945, when the country is totally destroyed for you, to 1964, less than 20 years later, where they did the Olympics. You know, and it had to do with the Cold War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, where Japan went from being an enemy to a trusted ally. And that helps you understand where Daihatsu Okuchi came from. So think about it, 1945 to 1952, basically, Japan, an occupied country, was being forced to get American culture. Daihatsu Okuchi was a jazz drummer. You know, one of the most popular forms of music in Japan was jazz. But it was largely to the occupation forces. But it totally changed the cultural basis for the people who were living there. Daihatsu Okuchi created a new form of taiko, what we consider to be the form of Taiko, by taking traditional music and by converting it into Western music notation, doing ensembles and having players play different kinds of music together for the bass line and solo. In 1959, what is taiko is generally considered to be the first professional taiko company. And these are former one taiko companies. And so their form of taiko playing is what we consider, you know, what we consider taiko to be the basis for a lot of North American countries. Then Taiko Hayashi was a member of Taiko and then became a member of Hilo for the time and soloist is demonstrated with creating the Taiko form, one man playing on a large drum. And it was based on Momatsu no Risho, which in English was called the Risho man. And there were two early versions, 43 and 58. The 43 version is what Tagayasu Denji showed you, the one that brought people over and over and over and over again. And it includes an image of a festival where there's a high in the streets with two drummers playing on this large drum. So that didn't exist in Japanese culture. That was created by the filmmakers. And then Eikazu Hayashi developed a form for one Dekuza and then gained recognition for being a solo artist on Taiko. And now people like Tiffany won awards playing Taiko. And he was one of the people who led the transition from one Dekuza to Hilo. And he was a tremendous friend of North American Taiko. This is a picture of Sato in 1983 with Roy and Ichihiro Hayashi and Gary Tsukamoto because he was constantly fostering exchanges between North American and North America. 1969 reached about 100%. The first taiko group. Around the same time, Reverend Guadagni became the resident minister of Ascension Buddhist Taiko, and he created Hinata Taiko. And they worked with Bernard Kogi, who was teaching at UCLA. So that very first slide I showed you of the Gagaku Dome, Kogi Sensei was a member of that, and he was loaned to UCLA for 2 years to teach, and he decided to stay. Hinata Taiko was created a year later, and if you look at the drums, those drums are critical to the evolution of taiko in North America because they created the barrel. San Jose Taiko started in 1973, and they started at a Buddhist temple, then became an independent taiko group. So here, the first 3 taiko groups in North America are taking 3 different paths. Tanaka Sensei was Japanese taiko. In our group, which said very clearly, what we do is not something done in Japan or America. It's Japanese American Buddhist. And then San Jose Taiko, which believed in the creation of an Asian American Taiko, which incorporated many different elements as well as other Asian cultures. So one time, one of the new members of Taiko asked me, "So, what is it Japanese Taiko, Japanese American Buddhist Taiko, or Asian American Taiko?" And my answer was yes. So, the first decade of Taiko in North America, and this is where the whole issue of the cultural conflict between being Japanese and American comes into play. That the trauma of World War II caused many Japanese Americans to decide that they were not going to be Japanese, that they were going to separate themselves from Japanese culture, not speak Japanese, not do anything that related to Japan. And the one repository of Japanese culture across many communities was Buddhism. So of these first 13 taiko groups, 8 of them started at Buddhism. The building of the drum. How many of you know what a mimeograph machine is? You can't Google it. So this is why taiko started so slow. In order to play taiko, you have to make your taiko. In order to make your taiko, you have to get a physical piece of paper because there was no internet. Now you can see all kinds of YouTube videos on how to make a taiko. Then, the barrels, everybody can share information. Where do you get barrels? Where do you get springs? Mark Miyoshi was the first American taiko maker, and he was followed by many other people. These people, including Akitoshi Asano and Unosuke Mimoto from the Taiko Community Alliance in the north and ultimately Toshikato, were really critical to supporting taiko groups in this country and the evolution of taiko. The 80s had 29 groups, and 11 of those were also started at Buddhist temples. 7 Canadian and the first 4 Hawaiian temples. And critical to the creation of the first 4 taiko groups in Hawaii was Taiko Gata, which Shuji will talk about next. And so what does Kengatsu have to do with taiko? Kengatsu created a group called Samonori in Korea, which ultimately, formalized certain folk traditional music, and there were thousands of those groups in Korea at one point. But he promoted the use of the chango, which is this 2-headed drum. And Samonori was one of the first guests at one of the first celebrations of Koto. And so in their collaboration with Leonard Ito, they developed a use for okedo to be played like chango. And in subsequent years, Koto did that all over the world, and then a number of the former Koto members and lots of other people learned how to play okedo. So playing on okedo and jumping around and moving with the drum is also very useful. Himeko Kawata played at the first Nihon no Taiko concert in Tokyo, and then formed her own group, which was the first professional women's taiko group in Japan, 1981. Kono Taiko, 1986, really changed the dynamic for how people saw women you were in LA.
Yes.
I have to mention, I can try shouting. Heading into the end of but also, what most people don't know is through the 80s, while they were in Japan studying foreign, they were a source of material and information for North American typos. There was no mail order. You couldn't use credit cards. You didn't have Pagoan. You didn't have anybody selling instruments or accessories. And so we would take a letter and mail it to them. You know, and they would go out and get equipment, and they would package it up and ship it back to us by boat. So back then, there was a whole evolution of North American typos. These were critical people to the growth of this community. The 90s, there were too many groups to mention. But of the 78 groups, all of them were Buddhists. 10 Canadian, 4 more Hawaiian, and the first 6 Malaysian typos. The Taiko Community Center is based in Los Angeles, and it was created by a group of people who wanted to preserve that community. That community was on the verge of being developed out of existence, and so they formed the creation of this organization and the Aratana Theater. They're in the middle of a cluster of organizations. Many of the Buddhist temples were also a centenary Methodist church, which created a hub of facilities for community activities. And so they were the perfect place to have the first North American type of conference. Wayne Abaka was the artistic director of the theater, and during 1995, 1996, he organized meetings of people from many different type of groups to create the first North American type of conference. So, like this conference, and like every NATC, there were performances. There were performances, there were workshops, there were chances to play together, and most of all, there was food. After several conferences, the first conference outside of Los Angeles was in Sacramento. Seattle was the next conference, first conference outside of California. There are people here. There are people here, take my word for it, that made Sacramento possible, that made Seattle possible, and have been involved in the conference went back to Los Angeles in 2009, and that was the last one that we held in Los Angeles. And it was the one in which we had a memorial for Obuchi Sensei, who had just passed away. And the thing that I always found amazing about this was that there are people from more than 12 different type of groups across the country that got pulled together at the last minute to play. We thought Kiryu Sondan Gaishi, the Tanaka Sensei changed it. And in Stanford, 2011 was the largest Taiko conference ever held. We had over 700 people. They look very small, but I actually cropped out a whole lot of people on the edges. So, 8 Taiko conferences at the Japanese American Cultural and Community Center, that we were working with them. And when it turned out that because of administrative changes, they could no longer host conferences, In 2014, Taiko Project took on the task of creating its own World Taiko Gallery, and we worked together with them. So during this whole period, it's like, I'm a 20th century taiko player. Most of you guys are 21st century taiko players, in part because of this. All the taiko learning was you had to go to somebody and learn from them. You couldn't see a YouTube video. You couldn't Zoom with people online and have classes. So some years ago, I Googled this, learn to play taiko, and the algorithm keeps changing. So I have no idea what it is today, but it was learn to play taiko. Over 2 million results. Learn to play taiko. It's like, when we started, you had no idea. Okay, so not everything you find online is good. And as information grows and as access grows, all of these issues come up. Representation, appreciation, appropriation. I'm not going to talk about any of this because we'd be here all day. So on the plus side, during this latter period, a lot of good stuff did happen. CASA was created in 2002, and then I don't know if any of you know of them. Some of you have been to CASA mixed trips to Sato. Hundreds of people, hundreds of taiko players got to go and visit Sato and drum with Kodo and learn what a life centered around taiko could be. And then in 2005, the Japanese American National Museum did a big exhibit called Big Drum, and it created an online space called Discover Nikkei. And so that DVD and a lot of that information is still available online. Asano Taiko opened 10 years ago and is about to celebrate their 10th anniversary. And Taiko Center was created, which has become a new project, a project of TCA. And long history. Provide online courses and the collegiate type of groups went from the original 6 to, this is only a small portion, 72 collegiate type of groups were created. Josh and Linda actually worked on this study on collegiate taiko. If you want to know anything about collegiate taiko, see Josh. One of the things that I thought was interesting was data. I'm taking a look at non-collegiate versus collegiate. And 2.8 years is reasonable given that most people are only in school 4 years. What do they hope? But I thought it was surprising 6.9 years is the average for non-collegiate. Some of whom are feeding into this larger body. And then in 2016, TCA did a taiko census. And so the numbers over here, we had 1,156 participants. And what you could see was the changing demographics of the taiko community. Whereas in the early decades, almost all of them were either Japanese American or Asian American. Just over half are of Asian descent, or were in 2016. I have no idea what the type of world is right now, but I think it's moving in that direction. So in 2013, Stanford University, a bunch of people got together. Some of the old advisory board from the North American Taiko Conference, many other people, interested people. We had people who applied to be a part of this, and all of the participants were required to interview one of the people who wanted to come to get their take on where Taiko should be and what it should be doing. So out of that, Taiko Community Alliance was born. You'll see this in your program, so I'm not going to go. We did NATC 2015, Las Vegas, then we went to San Diego, Portland, and now you're here. San Diego was organized by the local taiko groups, as was Portland. This is the word cloud. You know, word cloud takes all of this data that people put into comments, and it sorts it out, and based on the number of times words appear, you know, that's how big those words are when they show up in this word cloud. So this is what we got when we first tried to organize TCA. And so for some of us, I was a little discouraged. I thought Japanese would be bigger. You know, but the rest of it, you know, certainly is true for everybody. You know, the dynamics that make Taiko what it is and which bring you here. So, Okage-sama dead. I mean, I want to turn this on its head. Okage-sama dead usually was to thank senior people or older people for helping you get to this place or helping you accomplish what you've done. On the other hand, it's because of the 21st century Taiko players that the Taiko community continues to exist, you know, and supports all of the things that we've worked on for all of those years. So, Okage-sama.
Thank you very much, Alan. Yeah, if you had a chance to tune in, we did Taiko history with Alan on a webinar, and that was fantastic. But it doesn't compare to listening to Alan do it live. So thank you, Alan. Thank you for sharing that history with us. So, fun fact, I'm gonna lost spirit myself. So this shirt that I'm wearing, while Alan was talking about it, I made this shirt when we announced that we're gonna bring the conference to Hilo. And I pulled the cities that have held Taiko conference. So my shirt says Los Angeles, Sacramento, Seattle, Stanford, Las Vegas, San Diego, Portland. And way over here in the corner it says Hilo. Like who would have thought that? That's crazy. So Hilo Beach, you guys are right up there with Portland and Vegas and San Diego. So you guys rock. So So talking about bringing conference to Hilo and just to Hawaii in general, you know, whenever we talk about Taiko in Hawaii, you know, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to Mrs. Faye Komagata. So discussing her contributions and her accomplishments and what she's done for us is her son, Reverend Shuji Komagata. Aloha! Thank goodness it's still on. That would have been the end of my talk right there. Thank you very much. My name is Shuji Komagata, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad I was able to make it. I know that a lot of people had some struggles getting to Hilo from where we were. I guess that's part of traveling these days, but I'm glad that all of you are here. I'd like to first thank Taiko Community Alliance and organizers of this North American Taiko Conference, Regional, for inviting me to share with you a little bit about my mother, Faye Komagata. She played an important role in part of establishing many of the Taiko groups here in Hawaii. She was known to many people as Mrs. K. You know, just easier for people to say that, Mrs. K. But she passed away in 2018, and I know that she accomplished a lot during her lifetime in the Taiko world here in Hawaii, but I know she had a lot more that she wanted to do. And I think she'd be really, really honored that we're remembering her today. Well, first of all, as it was, we talked about earlier, Taiko has been a part of what we have this environment or the scenery in Hawaii for many years.
It was used in the Buddhist temples as a religious instrument, and also during the summer Bon festivals when you had the Bon dance. But these are things that had been going on for ceremonies or during the summer months during the Bon dances. But things that we know about Bon dances, songs like Fukushima Ondo, Iwakuni Ondo, Niigata Ondo, are just some of the songs that were played during the Bon season. So I'd like to move on and talk a little bit about my mom. And her taiko journey began in the 1970s when she moved to Kona Daifukuji, on the other side of the island, where my father, Reverend Shugen Komagata, was the resident minister. And she said in an interview, quote, "In Kona, I used to play taiko. I used to play just at the Bon dances. When we moved to Wahiawa in 1981, I learned a little bit more about taiko from a friend from Japan, and we kind of went from there, right? So it's no YouTube. She had to go out and actually learn a little bit. And then in 1984, my father was then the resident minister of Wahiawa, Yusenji on Oahu, and he was also the principal of the Japanese school there. And my mother, wanting to get involved, used to do different cultural activities every year. Maybe it was dancing, cooking, how to wear a kimono, some arts and crafts. But there was this interest that was expressed, hey, we want to learn a little bit about taiko. And so she said, well, maybe I can do that because there's no structured program around taiko at the time in Hawaii. And so she said, well, we're going to make it this activity for this group of Japanese school students. And the first group was a bunch of 8th graders, including my brother, my older brother, Daishu, and me. And I was about 9, 10 years old at the time. And we began practicing every day. And we had one large taiko that was from the temple, one shime taiko that was used for the Bon dance, and we had 2 small taikos made by Stanley Morgan. Some of the old timers know that name, Stan Morgan taiko. And so we had 2 of those taikos, and we practiced and we performed at the graduation ceremony. And her comment in an interview was, "It wasn't so hot." The first performance wasn't that great. Sounds like my mom, right? Those of you know her. But she said, maybe we should try this year round. And in 1984, Hawaii Matsuri Taiko was born. And this was the first ensemble taiko group of its kind, as we know, to perform year round in Hawaii. So the taiko renaissance on the mainland's west coast and east coast had not yet reached Hawaii, and only a handful of students were enrolled at first. But they began to perform and be asked to perform at different places. And my mother said, hey, we have to kind of get better, because she said in another interview, she said, in those days, we were kind of junk, she said. And she said, my goal was to make sure that we were the best that we could be, which meant I would have to go out of town and practice and train. This is what Anna was saying, right? You couldn't just YouTube it, or you had to go out and train. Or what she did was she said she called people in to conduct workshops. And here we have Kenny and Shizuko Endo, who came to Hawaii in 1985 to do some workshops for our taiko group. I remember going to Haleiwa, Jodo Mission, and having a workshop on the beach, right on the shoreline there. And my mother's childhood friend, Reverend Kurai, also came to teach our group. Then Kodo came to town, and here she is with H. Saito, and they did a workshop for us as well. And she said, because we did that, I think our group, especially those who remained for over 5 years, became good at the art. Between 1985 and 2000, all while trying to develop her own taiko group, she dedicated much of her energy to the development of taiko throughout the state of Hawaii. One thing that I think those of you know her would agree is that she was always willing to share her knowledge, introducing taiko teachers from out of town to groups just getting started. And so this is our taiko group. The previous picture was Zen Shuji on Kauai, the Taiko group on Kauai. And this is our Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko getting started. And there we are right there. And she was always trying to help people establish networks of their own, and in the spirit of enriching Taiko, the art of Taiko in Hawaii. When Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko would go on summer trips to the West Coast and Japan, Mrs. K would regularly invite pairs from other groups to join. Say, you know what, this is important. You gotta come and join. So sometimes we got these trips, and I don't know who these people are on the trip joining us, but we became good friends. And then in 1999, 6 groups, Kona Daifukuji Taiko, Zenshin Taiko, Maui Taiko, Yusei Taiko, Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko, and Tiffany from San Francisco, Sacramento Taiko-dan gathered on Molokai. And this was one of those kinds of events where she would just invite people from all over the place and say, let's play Taiko. And you know what? People would come. You know, she was just like that, that kind of person. Here she is with Kenny Endo, Itsuo Hongo, Mr. Miyamoto, and Shizuko Endo. And those of you who knew my mom also would agree that she was not a shy person. I remember when she would visit temples, walk into the temple and say, oh wow, you have a Taiko here. You should start a Taiko group. And the thing was that, the amazing thing was that people would actually start Taiko groups because she said, you gotta start a Taiko group. And sooner or later, you know, these groups were developing all over the place. In fact, there are 9 Soto Zen temples. You know, I'm a minister at the Soto Zen Soto Mission. In Hawaii, we have 9 temples, and she helped start or conducted classes or was involved in the creation of Taiko groups at all of these different locations. This is PJ, 1991. Another picture with her. And with Maui Taiko. This is where we visited Maui Taiko and spent some time. And with Marco Lienhardt. And then with San Francisco Taiko Dojo and Nihon Taiko Dojo. So my mom, she really enjoyed playing Taiko. She liked the bright lights of the stage. But she probably liked the microphone even more. So she was always holding the microphone, and if her hands were slower, I said, Mom, can you MC? She was, she was a true MC. Okay, but she was a talented singer, a great motivator, a director, and a friend. She was a skilled delegator who could make anyone do anything. And she knew how to tell someone to do something. And there's people who, they say, oh, I can't play Taiko, I don't want to, I'm so afraid. She said, it's okay, just go on the stage, just do it. And people would go, and they'd come up, and she'd ask them, how was it? They would say, oh, I love it. And she just had that way of getting people out there. But I think it just really demonstrated how she was very passionate about Taiko. This is a picture with her and her very close friend, Reverend Tom Kurai. Sadly, he passed away just a few months before my mother passed away. And they were good friends. And this is another thing about her, is that she could argue. She could really argue and really, if she wanted to make a point, she would make her point. I hear there's a story of Merle Okada going to a Taiko conference and listening to what was being said, and she would say, that's not correct. And she would say, we gotta correct them. And she would do these things. But I think what I'm trying to get at is that she really believed in how important it was to perpetuate the culture, to share the culture, and make sure people got the right message when practicing Taiko and becoming involved in Taiko. I just wanted to show a picture of my wife playing Taiko. But it was Taiko for my mother. Taiko meant a lot of hard work. My picture of me right there. perseverance, and of course, family. Teamwork, respect, loyalty, education. Here's she would teach taiko at the schools, and of course the Japanese culture. I remember every time leaning on a taiko, and I could just hear her yelling at me and say, "Hey, don't lean on the taiko. That's a cultural violation." So I don't know if you, I think she might have coined that term. I don't know, maybe or maybe not. At least, but she used to say it a lot. It's a cultural violation. But I think she would teach people life lessons, right? How that's not about only playing taiko, but how to behave amongst people, how to interact with people, to create friends. What does it mean of true friendship? And here's a great example of things coming full circle. This is a group shot of my mom with Christy. This is when she was a Taiko Pro, right? She became a Taiko Pro, and she's coming back to do a workshop for a Somen Taiko, a group that Jamie and I founded in 2005. And our dear friends and teachers like Reverend Kurai, Alan and Merle Okada, Shizuko Endo, Etsuo Hongo, Tiffany Tamariguchi, Seiichi Tanaka, Kiyonari Tosha, they all came to my wedding, and we all played taiko. And at the time, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm such an important person playing taiko, all these people come for me. But now that I think about it, I think it's my mom who said, please come to my son's wedding. But she was that networker, right? She had these connections and she was always willing to share her connections with people. And for her role in assisting over 15 taiko groups in Hawaii to get started, Grandmaster Seiichi Tanaka began calling her Mrs. K the mother of taiko in Hawaii. Another picture of me. But no, actually, she's in the background. And I want to share with you this because this is the last concert she did, she would play in. This was in 2016. The day after the concert, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she started receiving treatment right away and fought hard to continue playing taiko. So no matter what, she still wanted to get out there and play taiko. And she was still able to travel. So got to visit Maui Taiko, Kay, and Ron. And finally, some time to relax. And this is playing at a performance in Waikiki. And of course, still, see, she has her microphone. And then in November 5, 2018, my mother fulfilled her life. She had a very full, exciting, and good 72 years, and I'm very grateful for every moment that I had with her. And I'd like to think that, thank you. I'd like to think that she would be really happy to be recognized today. Because she would always tell me, hey, go up there, say something. But she'd be very happy because she was one of the pioneers, of taiko in Hawaii. Maybe not directly for every group, but indirectly, and for all that she did for many taiko groups here. And she left an indelible mark on many people's lives in ways we may only realize that she's no longer here physically. So this is at her funeral. And this is Kei Fukumoto. And I never asked Kei if I could read this, but this is something that Kei had written. It's a reflection. And she said in her reflection on Mrs. Kei's life, there are many taiko groups and people who have a connection to Faye and generations of offspring who may never know their connection to her. It's time to share how we are all connected to this mother of taiko. In the last version of Hawaii Matsumi Taiko's bio, written a year before she passed away, my mother, Mrs. K, she wrote, and I thought she was going to talk about all the things that she did, but she wrote, and deeply indebted to Reverend Tom Shuichi Kurai, Roy and TJ Hirabayashi, Mitsuo Hongo, Kenny and Shizuko Endo, Kodo, Oedo Skiroku Daiko, Marco Leonhardt, Tiffany Tamariguchi, Alan and Rob Okada, Kiyonari Tosha, and Grandmaster Seiichi Tanaka. And my mom's funeral was like a taiko concert. We had all these great artists who came, and I really feel that it was like this great send off for her. And the reason I talk about all these things is because you may know her, you may not know who she is, but here in Hawaii we do have I feel that we have a lot to offer our gratitude to when we say thank you to her. But if you're from a different taiko lineage, you have a different taiko history, I think we all have this certain Mrs. K. Maybe we have that certain someone in our taiko group, in our taiko history that we can look to and say thank you, to say okage-sama, thanks to you. And I think that's the real big takeaway here is that I think that if we really look within ourselves, we can find people who are very dear to us. And I wanted to close today with a poem that she had written over 4 decades ago. Ancient spirits, sands of time, harmonic energy, the echoes of eternal beats, pulsating rhythms, new forms, power and grace. Don, 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 don. The beating of our hearts as one. The beating of our hearts as one. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Reverend Suji. Oh, not gonna lie, that kind of hit me in the feels. So, I think we are getting ready for TaikoGo concert. I'm gonna turn to the boss, Christina. Chacho. We gonna go on time or we're gonna go 6 o'clock, 5:30? I think it's 5:30 now, so okay. I'm gonna turn the mic over to Christina. Greg asked me to say one thing. TaikoGo performers, you are required in the green room. We're gonna get that party started right after this. TaikoGo performers, please go to the green room. I'm gonna turn it over to Christina McGee.
Thank you so much. We did go a little bit over, but I think it was amazing opening speakers. Another round of applause for that, please. What should I take? I would like to announce that after there are some space in the seating, everyone standing outside and listening this whole time, we're welcome to come in and find a seat to enjoy the show. And if you want to make new friends, get tight, make room for them. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. their luggage, wear shirts for many days in a row that you don't need to know about. It's how we do things, right? The last thing I want to uplift is all these amazing vendors that we have in this room. If you haven't gone shopping yet, these people also schlep their merchandise, they travel here, they ship orders in advance just to be here. So I'm going to go around the room and highlight them. Just next to our Medical Reserve Corps is Now by Naoko. Naoko-san is a new TCA partner. She started just registering for Hilo wanting to come to the workshop. And she's like, hey, I want to sell my stuff there. And that's what she's doing now. So if you see her bouncing two places at once, that's exactly why. But all her things are beautiful. There's a lot of decorative houseware stuff there, as well as Taiko. In this front corner, we have Justin Shackhart from Shack's 3D Printing. He's also a TCA partner. He's got discounts for the conference specifically for everybody here. His 3D printing ranges from stuff like Pokemon figs, all the way to Taiko specific things like body masks. So things are performance. Go check him out. It's pretty cool. Okay. I'm also.
I think he might see you holding on to it.
In this front corner here, we have Asano. Not only is Asano celebrating their 10 years, which we talked about in Alan's speech, but they're also doing a great concert if you're in their area in LA soon called Extasia. There's informational flyers at their table. Yep. Next to them is Kadon with none other than those two guys right over there. If you haven't already picked up your pre-orders from Kadon, they have them available right behind their merch tables there. I think Aya's going to stay there the whole time, and those other two waving their arms are actually some teachers this weekend. And then all the way in the back, of course, is our TCA merchandise. And for the first time ever, we have found a treasure trove of vintage shirts from all of our conferences that we're selling to everybody. It's very cool and exciting. There's also chopsticks over there, our Transformer sunglasses, and just cool people to go say hi and high five to. Okay. So I think the transition is complete now. I really appreciate your patience and making more room for all of our new friends. And I sincerely hope you enjoy TCA and NATC-R's first ever TaikoGo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. Hey everyone, my name is Gregory Wadden. I'm the conference manager for this. I'm very honored to have been hired by the TCA as a staff division to put on the event. Thank you very much. NATC-R, TaikoGo, a lot of lingo we're throwing at you. I'm just going to maybe address some of that today. So NATC-R is a North American Taiko Conference regional, and we're doing our regional conference here in Hilo, representing kind of a region that we don't always get to go to when we look at kind of big cities that are centrally located. Not everyone can come, which is great. We still need those kind of things. But there's so many Taiko stories. There's just so many experiences that are happening outside those hubs too. So this idea to have regional events where we have people come in and it's a two-way street. To highlight the local artists and histories, as well as for those artists to be able to share their stories with the broader community. I think what's really awesome about that. I think Christine already did this. Can I get a shout out for who's from the islands here in the audience? All right. Who's from the mainland? That's Canada. Pretty good split here. I think we're looking at the numbers. It's about split in terms of participants. And also, I think people are coming pretty far. If you're coming from, how about Italy? Anyone from Italy in here? Oh, wait! From Italy, from New Zealand, from Japan. There's a lot of, there's just so many ways that we can connect through, getting together in conference. I think it's really important to be able to come together in community. So I'll say real quickly, I know we're a little bit behind, but TaikoGo, in 2003 in Sacramento, when they hosted the North American Taiko Conference, they had this idea to do Taiko 10. It's going to be 10 minutes, or 10 groups playing 10 minutes each. And the idea to showcase a lot of the different kind of talents and the different kind of styles of Taiko. For a conference, we should see the different types of, people who are coming to the conference, give them a chance to perform. So, being a smaller kind of regional, we kind of think, half of 10, 5 TaikoGo. It's actually 6 people out here today. So, So maybe it's not actually 5, but what I think about in my mind, TaikoGo, go is a kanji for language, or like the language of the drums. It actually has the radical for 5 in it too. So, but like the taiko is something that we do to music is a way that we communicate with each other. As Reverend Ron said, to share kind of our faith. As Reverend Shuji and Alan kind of talked about. The way that we kind of share memories, the way that we kind of communicate new ideas with each other, and to kind of relish the time that we share together. So, with that, I'm so excited for the groups we have today because I think it represents just that. And we have a lot of talent from the islands here. We have some visiting groups as well. Our first group, without further ado, thank you. Aloha! I know there was a long history lesson right before this. I'll make it quick. I promise. Okay, so in the 1980s, our group was formed, and in fact, our group was formed with the help of a couple of groups, and that is Taiko Mogata and the Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko. So if you could give them a hand. In 2020, but the world had other plans. So we sort of had to cancel this. So we wanted to use tonight to kind of pay tribute to those groups and also pay tribute to
Isho. Genki meaning like good or energetic. Kinyobi meaning like Friday. Because we made this song to be kind of like just a fun song for our Friday groups to play. The Friday group used to be made out of, used to be our youth group, really. But some of us grew up and so it's not really energetic Friday, it's more like mundane Wednesdays. We're gonna try to liven it up for you guys. So it's gonna be coupled with a song entitled Isho, meaning together, and it's a song that we kind of play at events where the focus is bringing a group of people together just to celebrate something. So here is Genki Nyobi and Isho.
I'm a Canadian Taiko player and also a TCA board member. You're going to be seeing me throughout the evening, but my first task is to introduce you to TCA, or Taiko Community Alliance, something you may be familiar with as we're all here. So, thank you. Taiko Community Alliance was formed. Alan did a wonderful job explaining it earlier after the 2013 discussion on how to continue conferences and gatherings like this one to be from the Taiko community for the Taiko community. And TCA has brought the subsequent conferences from that time, and including this one. So thank you to the support of this community, we are able to do these things. So good job, thank you. Our core mission, empowering the people and advancing the art of Taiko, directs us in all that we do, from the programming and resources and opportunities offered to big gatherings like this one. So I'll mention briefly some of the things that TCA can offer to the Taiko community, including yourselves. First is my favorite program, the Grants Program. This is an opportunity for applicants to write grants specifically for Taiko players. So it's a wonderful opportunity for your projects, for your ideas to get some funding. We also have programs where you can grow in Taiko with volunteer experience, leadership experience, to learn about your region, to get connected. We offer these opportunities. We also have resources like the previously mentioned Taiko Source, now up on TCA website. It's a wonderful, expansive website for all things Taiko, and is very excellent. And of course, gatherings like this, we are overjoyed to offer to the community. So thank you for that. So, do you like my hat? It also has all these tags here that have QR codes, and all the board members have these, and all these QR codes go to direct links that you can walk up to us and scan off our various attire, and it'll take you directly to certain parts of TCA that you have interest in. So if you see these, please don't hesitate to walk right on up and grab them so you can go directly to what you want to know. I'm also overjoyed to announce the next group, who are also Canadians. Please help me in welcoming Bienvenue, Ame no Ato.
Hi everyone, we are Ame no Ato. We are delighted to be here. A huge thank you to the TCA, all the workshop leaders, all the volunteers, and all of you for making these events possible. It's fantastic to be on this beautiful island, this little piece of paradise. A little bit about us. I'm Audrey, and this is Steve. And we are Ame no Ato, which means after the rain. And this is a name that we chose because our duo is born during the pandemic. And the name Ame no Ato, or After the Rain, invokes for us that feeling of renewed energy, new possibility, that calm after the storm, after all the turmoil that I think many of us can relate to, having gone through during the pandemic. So we are looking forward to sharing some of that renewed energy with you all tonight.
Presenting to you today is Miyake, which is another island piece. For all those who were watching Alan's presentation earlier, you would have seen the Tsumura family who started this piece on Miyake Island, and it was later popularized by the group Kodo, which you've also seen in Alan's presentation. We've taken some of these roots and we've integrated some of our own, as well as some parts of our evolution. And we hope that we can bring you some of Montreal's energy through Ame no Ato's voice.
I'm under the impression Paul should be here. Speaking. I'll make it more his height. I see him over there, he's busy. Let me grab my notes, I'll be right back. He may return with his remarks. In the meantime, I'll introduce the next group. Yes, here they are. Portland Taiko, everyone. Through innovation and excellence in Taiko, Portland Taiko affirms Asian American pride, inspires audiences, builds community, and educates about its heritage and culture. Portland Taiko blends the tradition of Japanese taiko drumming with a sense of Asian American identity, creativity, and empowerment. Formed in 1994 by Anne Ishimanu, Zachary Semke, and Japanese American community activists, Portland Taiko started with one homemade taiko and practice drums made from car tires. With community support, the group built and purchased new drums, presented its first full-length concert in 1997, and became a non-profit organization and toured North America in the early 2000s. The group has headlined at arts festivals and concert halls, released 3 CDs, and has performed at hundreds of community events and school assemblies. Portland Taiko has commissioned and collaborated with numerous artists including Hanayui Shohei, Kikuchi, Seiichi Tanaka, Kenny Endo, Tiffany Tamari-Buchi, Subashini Ganasan, Obo Adi, Sivagami Banka, Carla Mann, Mike Barber, and Min Tran. Portland Taiko performs throughout the Pacific Northwest, offers classes and workshops. Portland Taiko is eager to share its artistry and educational programs throughout the greater Portland community and the country. To date, Portland Taiko has reached over 1 million audience members at over 1,500 performances at theaters, schools, community events, and festivals. And now here.
Thank you, TCA, for having us. The piece we just played for you was called Fusion. It was composed by Teresa Enrico, and it's inspired by James Brown's music. So maybe you heard a little bit of it. And we were actually lucky enough to have Kaniendo Sensei come through Portland a few months ago, and he helped us with this special arrangement that we played for you today. So thank you, Kenny Sensei. The next piece we're going to play for you is called Ha. It is composed by Karen Tingy and Christy Oshiro. Christy was actually my first Taiko teacher, and she was an amazing first Taiko teacher. So Ha is kind of like a high energy piece, and it's kind of our way of showing the power of Taiko. So again, thank you for having us, and we hope you enjoy Ha.
Okay, oh, another round of applause for these guys. You guys are amazing. Okay, so I got asked to come out here again. Sorry, you guys probably tired of hearing me talk, but here we go. I was asked to introduce the local host committee. So those of you who have been around NATC for any length of time, the rumor is that hosting conference is kind of like hosting the Olympics. Like people apply for it, and then they get it, and they're like, holy moly, that's a lot of work. But I'm proud to say, standing in front of you as the chair of the board of directors for TCA, that we really tried to intentionally move forward. We had a 4-year break after Portland, and we really wanted to kind of adjust the way we do business. We have a tremendous staff at TCA headquarters now. You met Christina, you met Greg, you met Leanna. We also have another fellow named Gregory who's over in North Carolina. They've shouldered a huge part of the burden of keeping the lights on at TCA, as well as planning this conference, as well as next year's conference, the one after that, and even the one after that. You may know where those are. I can't say, but if you know, keep it to yourself, because I think there'll be an official announcement later on during the conference. But I did want to introduce the local host committee, who did do a lot of work. Maybe we didn't have to do everything like the host committees of before, but they did a tremendous amount of work as well. They, first of all, selected the theme for our wonderful instructors that will be teaching you this weekend. You may not know it, but all of the instructors that we were able to bring in have some kind of tie to the state of Hawaii. And that was a theme that the local committee really wanted to elevate for this year's conference. Everyone either plays in Hawaii, played in Hawaii, learned from someone who is in Hawaii. There's some kind of tie to all of our instructors. We're very happy to be here. That was thanks to the host committee. They also helped us find sponsors, and of course they helped us rustle a ton of drums for you all to play this weekend. So, I'm going to introduce them. I'm going to bring them out. They didn't want to come out, but they have to. We're going to start from as close as possible. From Puna Taiko, Hernando. And then a little bit further out, over in Hilo, from Taiko, you saw a little bit, Chad Nakagawa and Lacey Noda. And then Kemi, who is not here, Kemi Iwamoro from Kona Taikuji. And then all the way from the beautiful island of Oahu, Nolan Miyahara from Ryugen Taiko. And we also have a special advisor, her name is Kei Fukumoto, but she's like typical, she's like, no, nobody recognized me. So Kei is our special advisor to this committee. How about another nice round of applause for our thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to announce the next group, Taiko Center of the Pacific Youth Group. The Taiko Center of the Pacific Youth Group was established in 1994 by head instructor Kenny Endo to perpetuate the art of Taiko and teach our youth about Taiko music and Japanese culture. Affectionately referred to as the YG, they made their debut in Hawaii at the opening of Stage 2 of the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii. Since its inception, many youth have passed through the program, some continuing on to become leaders in the greater Taiko world, forming Taiko groups on college campuses, and taking an active role in perpetuating and teaching the art. The Taiko Center of the Pacific Youth Group has performed at the inaugural Youth Arts Festival in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the 2003 North American Taiko Conference in Sacramento, on the Japanese Noto Peninsula in 2008, as a featured guest at Zenshin Daiko's Taiko Festival on Maui in 2013, and several times in Kenny Endo's anniversary concerts at the Hawaii Theater. The group is currently under the direction of Brock Asato, a former YG member and current member of the Taiko Center of the Pacific Adult Performing Ensemble. The youth group currently ranges in age from 9 to 17 with various years of experience and training. I will now pass it on to Chad Okawa.
Okay, good evening everybody.
Good evening.
We hope you're enjoying the concert tonight so far. My name is Chad, and as mentioned earlier, we are the Taiko Center of the Pacific Youth Group. We are very honored to perform for you tonight as the Taiko community, so thank you for having us. We'll be performing 2 songs for you tonight. The first piece is entitled Nanakorobia Oki, which was composed by current and former members of our youth group under the direction of Rakasato, our youth group director. Nanakorobia Oki translates roughly to fall 7 times, get up on the 8th attempt. It is a Japanese proverb that encourages us to never give up and to be resilient. This piece is an artistic attempt by our youth group to find an identity in an ever-changing and permanent world. In this piece, you'll see we have experimented and incorporated various Japanese and Western techniques and rhythms, which is used to create something that is unique to our group. In a sense, it is also a reflection of our group as talking about our resilience. As a youth group, we face a lot of issues as we have new members coming in and being promoted, but we also have members leaving and moving on to a new chapter of their lives. There's always an ebb and flow when it comes to an organization like this, but through methods like this, it is a testament to how we can be resilient and how our love of Taiko can keep us together. This will be followed by another piece entitled Rites of Thundering, composed by Kenny Endo, our artistic director of our school, Taiko Center of the Pacific. Thunder is a form of nature that evokes both feelings of awe and fear. The booming reverberations of the taiko drum come close to these sounds. This piece is dedicated to the future generations of taiko drummers who aspire to play as eloquently and as powerful as thunder striking. Please enjoy. Thank you.
Hello. There she is. Leanna's coming. You know what that means? Prize draw!
Hello, I have so many lovely things. I have chopsticks, I have some TCA pins with our bone on them. Oh,
And a Uchiwa fan.
Got your numbers out? Ready? Yay, we have a winner, 2. Exciting. Yes. 0, 2, 3, 0, 5, 5. 0, 5, 5. Right now we have a so good at that. All right, this is a pin. Last 3 numbers. 0, 8, 3. 0, 8, 3. All right, 0, 4, 9, 9. 0, 4, 9. Really? Oh, yeah!
Oh, no, just moving seats.
She needed to get through.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you for not bumping through.
Our next winner, 1, 9, 7. Wait, 1, 9, 7. Was that you? Everyone sitting next to her will enjoy that. Those are lovely. And our last prize, last 3 numbers, 2, 4, 4.
Thank you, Leanna. All right. You may notice I'm wearing a blazer. For anyone that knows me, I like a blazer. I wanted to bring one, but then thought it was silly to put in my luggage. Then Gregory had one, and he looked like a classy guy, so I took it. The next group is Maui Taiko. Maui Taiko was established in 1996 as a non-profit charitable corporation organized to perpetuate traditional Japanese folk songs and dances of the Buddhist Obon Festival, as well as to promote Taiko music. The group's history stretches back to the early 1900s when immigrants from the Japanese prefecture of Fukushima arrived as laborers to work on the plantations of Maui. For more, let's go to Brian Nagami.
Kara! doko kara, doko kara, doko kara, doko kara. Doko, 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 do, do, do. Doko, 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 do, do, do. Ha! Oh, good job. Give yourselves a hand. Those are the patterns for a song that we call Omoshiro Taiko. And it was the first Taiko song written by Maui Taiko. It was written by, like a lot of your groups probably, a bunch of kids in a group coming up with some patterns together. And it's actually our first piece that we're going to be playing for you tonight, and we kind of made some changes. But we want you to sing along with us. So we're going to try it one more time, all together. I'll say it really fast, and then we'll do it together. So it's don ha, don ha, don ha, don ha, ka, 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 ka. Don, 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 kara, 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 don, kara, don, kara, don, kara, don, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, 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 don, 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 ha, doko, 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 don, 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 ha. And you're all Taiko players, so now you know all the patterns. Let's try it once, all together. Ich, ni, so, re, don, ha, don, ha, don, ha, don, ha. Ka, 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 don, 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 kara, 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 say the rest, don, kara, don, kara, don, kara, don, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, kara, doko, 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 don, 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 ha, doko, 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 don, 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 ha. All right, we're going to get the rest of the Taiko out here. Woo! We like to think of ourselves as an intergenerational group. Ron over here in the back, he was teaching his son Mitchell Fukumoto. He plays in San Jose now, but he was teaching him when he was like this tall. And that was their first song that they learned. So our first piece, Omoshiro Taiko, and please sing along with us at the beginning. singing along. We actually have never done that before because we don't have like hundreds of Taiko people gathered with us to play or to perform for. So our next piece is called Hanjimono. Hanjimono, it's actually a funny story, and I'm only telling you because you're Taiko people. When I created this song, I was like, oh, I want it to be like a puzzle. So I went on Google. It's a puzzle. How do you say puzzle in Japanese? And so the name of the song is Hanjimono. And then someone from Japan came and told me, that actually doesn't mean what you think it means. Hanjimono is a very particular Edo-style puzzle. It's a pictographic puzzle. And you have pictures, and then the characters of the pictures have, if you put them together, it gives it a deeper meaning. So actually it turned out pretty good because Hanjimono is really about a community. And as all of you know in Hawaii, right, there's lots of different parts of the community. And in this song, there's different parts, different patterns at the beginning and the end. They come together, and like our community, the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. So, Hanjimono.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We are coming to our final performance. Hasn't it been wonderful? So, Gregory took his blazer back. But Christina gave me hers. She's very supportive. The final group that we have is Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko and Friends. Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko, formed in 1984 by Faye Komagata, was the first ensemble Japanese drum group in Hawaii to perform year-round. Hawai'i Matsuri Taiko's repertoire of traditional and modern Japanese taiko music, as well as original taiko compositions, reflect the group's Western and Japanese cultural heritage. Sharing the stage with HMT will be special guests Yugen Taiko, Puna Taiko, and Taiko soloists Mike Gonhata and Fred Visaya Jr. To say more, please welcome Reverend Shuji Komagata.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful show, hasn't it? I just realized I am my mother's son because I like the microphone too. I hold it. But yeah, we're very excited to be here. And I wanted to first thank once again the TCA and the organizers of the regional conference here in Hilo for this opportunity to play for you today. You know, if someone asks you, you want to play taiko? Of course the answer is yes, right? But when they had said in honor of Faye Komagata, your mom, my mom, I had to take a moment, not to think about it, but to really kind of digest it and think about how grateful she would have been to be able to know that we had this opportunity to play for all of you tonight. It's a very special event. And, you know, playing for people is great. Playing for taiko players, people who play taiko, who appreciate the art of taiko, that is something that it's a gift for the people on stage. So we're very honored to be able to play for all of you tonight. The first number we're going to be playing is actually not a composition of hers, but of my taiko sensei, Kiyonari Tosha sensei. It's a song called Uneri. It's a fast-paced number, but I think it's fitting tonight because it was my mother's favorite song to listen to. She always wanted us to play it. So hope you enjoy this song, Uneri. Thank you very much. We're all Taiko players here, so I can say this. I told him 3 things. Number 1, let's start together. Number 2, let's end together. And then number 3, have fun doing it. So I understand. A final number we're going to be using tonight is called Kazan. And Kazan means volcano. And then we do this as our last number at all our performances. But it has special meaning to me because the words that I say is that Kazan, in Kazan we try to express both power and grace. And they make the reference to the volcano. When you see the volcano is extremely powerful, destructive, right? But on the other hand, it's also creating new life, new opportunity, new land. And so with this, both balancing both power and grace, we try to capture the spirit of Kazan. And being here in Hilo, I think it's very fitting that we have this honor to play this song for you tonight. I hope you enjoy it. This is Kazan.
All right, awesome, wow. As our journey tonight comes to a close, we're just beginning for our conference tomorrow. So for all the participants in the conference, please stick around. We're going to have dinner. Hey, for everyone who came from the public, who just had friends or family or heard about us, thank you so much for coming out here. We're so glad we could share a little bit about what Taiko Conference is with you. We have a dinner for those who are participating tomorrow as part of the registration. So just if you're a participant, if you, in your name tag, there's going to be a ticket. And this is what we're going to do here. It's going to be a little complicated here. We're going to end up going through those doors into the kitchen here. You're going to go to the left. You're going to hand a volunteer your ticket. And then you'll go through a line. On your right-hand side is the poke dinner if you ordered raw fish. On the left-hand side, if you ordered something that was not raw, so either a crab salad or veggie, that will be on your left-hand side there. But I think what we can do to turn this place into a place that we can eat together, community, gather, we're going to need to turn these benches into some cafeteria tables. So yeah, so if everyone could get up and take your bench and the one behind it, turn it around and face each other, you'll find out that these are actually transformers. What your backrest is actually also the top for the lunch table. So yeah, give everyone some time to get out. The wheels may be locked, so you may have to unlock them, just like a Beta Taiko stand.